I'm Liz Faublas, and this is Currents. Is it a women's issue? Strong words from President Obama during a stump speech in Colorado.
I don't think politicians should control the care that you get.
We'll get reaction. Plus, a local seminarian honored for some outstanding leadership. He joins me to talk about it.
What I do with the Black Catholic community, I don't do it for honor. But it's a great opportunity for the Diocese of Brooklyn as well.
And searching for Sergeant Bailey, soldiers' letters from the front lines of World War II. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. The Health and Human Services contraception mandate was again the center of it all, this time during a stump speech in Colorado by President Obama. The president accused his challenger, former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, of favoring legislation that would, quote, allow any employer to deny contraceptive coverage to their employees. CNN's Brianna Keeler has more on the president's talk and his prospects in Colorado.
They want to take us back to the policies more suited to the 1950s than the 21st century. And Colorado, you've got to make sure it does not happen.
In Denver, at President Obama's first of 4 stops on a 2-day swing through the battleground state of Colorado, his normal stump speech gave way to talk about women's issues like mammograms and birth control.
I don't think politicians should control the care that you get. I think there's one person to make these decisions on health care, and that is you.
The visit comes as Obama has lost ground with both men and women in Colorado. A new poll by Quinnipiac University, CBS News, and the New York Times shows Obama with an 8-point lead among women here and a 17-point deficit with men. Compare that to 2008, when Obama carried women by 15 points in Colorado and lost male voters to John McCain by just a point.
CNN's Brianna Keeler reporting there. Now, Matt Bowman of Alliance Defending Freedom is representing a Colorado company that recently won a victory in court against the contraception mandate. Speaking on Wednesday with Catholic News Agency, Bowman said the only controlling actions are on the part of President Obama. Bowman accused the president of forcing families to abandon their faith just because they want to earn a living or serve their community. Well, for more reaction to President Obama's speech, I spoke earlier with Maureen Ferguson. She's senior policy advisor with the Catholic Association, an organization that provides a voice for Catholics in the public square. Maureen, yesterday in Colorado, President Obama said of the HHS mandate and the surrounding debate, quote, I don't think your boss should get to control the health care that you get. I don't think that insurance companies should control the care that you get. And I don't think politicians should control the care that you get. Now, what do you say of the president's suggestion that exemptions to the mandatory coverage allow employers to control women?
I have to say, I found the president's comments in Colorado yesterday to be very disingenuous on many levels. First of all, it's the government that is mandating these services. It's the government that is mandating that employers provide these services. So it's actually the opposite than the spin that President Obama was trying to place on this. It's not us being able to make our own decisions for ourselves. This is the government saying that you have to abide by the government's values. It's the government trying to impose its political agenda on churches and people of faith and religious institutions and even secular employers. So it's really the opposite of what he was claiming.
Mm-hmm. And Maureen, in a separate interview, President Obama also said that while religious liberty is critical, he admits that it's not fair for these institutions to deny coverage to non-Catholic employees. Now, what do you make of the argument that all women should not be held to a decision that affects a select few?
I think from the start we've known that the Obama administration has tried to make this about contraception, and the premise is entirely false. There's not a problem in the country with access to contraception. It's nearly universally available. Most health insurance plans cover it. The government already gives it away free, and you can buy it for about $9 a month at a local pharmacy. Mm-hmm. So that's not the issue. The issue is the government going to insist that employers and people of faith be providing this if they have moral qualms about it? And of course, the Catholic Church teaches that, and it's not just contraception, abortion-inducing drugs, and sterilization. And these things are against our faith as Catholics,
right.
But yet the Obama administration is insisting that we provide them for free to employees. And another thing that was disingenuous about the president's comments yesterday in Colorado is he implied that he has made accommodations for religious institutions, that there's an appropriate balance between religious liberty and quote-unquote reproductive health for women. But this is entirely untrue. On this August 1st, the original Obama regulation on the HHS mandate went into effect without change. This talk of an accommodation or a compromise, it is merely talk and nothing more. They implemented the original rule with no accommodation. And the accommodation that they've floated is entirely insufficient. It's been roundly criticized as simply an accounting gimmick. Even supporters of the president's health care bill have said it's simply unworkable. They'll just be cost shifting. I think most people kind of know there's really no free lunch, especially when it comes to a government program.
And Maureen, I don't mean to interrupt, but all that said, and I'm sure we all agree that with or without the mandate, these drugs will still be available. Yet how do we appease those who need or use contraception for medical reasons? The availability of that treatment free of charge would be a benefit, no?
Well, if people are using something like a birth control pill for medical reasons, then that is by definition not, they're not using it with the intent of contracepting. They're using it to treat a medical condition.
Okay.
Now, these cases, of course, are rare, but they do occur, and it is legitimate, you know, in some cases that people may need these types of hormones to, you know, for a medical condition. And the insurance companies have always covered that if it's for a legitimate medical condition. So it's really like a straw man argument to be throwing that out there. It's just not an issue. It's covered if it's needed for a medical condition.
Okay, and Maureen, we've come so far in the fight to turn back now, but could we count on women of faith to just do the right thing if indeed they're faced with this choice, if their companies have to provide these drugs to them?
Well, you know, this whole argument about women and the role of this debate, the Obama administration tried to say, oh, this is about a war on women. You're trying to take contraception away, which is ridiculous. The day before this mandate went into effect, contraception was widely available for people who want it. So that is not the issue. The issue is the government going to impose this on virtually every employer in America, including religious institutions? And it's really a broader issue. This is, the Obama administration is trying to narrow our free exercise rights in many different ways, not just with regard to the HHS mandate, but there's this incredible narrowing. The Obama administration is essentially saying that you can go to church on Sundays and practice your faith within the four walls of your church, but you cannot come out into the public square Monday to Friday in your business or your charity, your Catholic hospital, and practice your faith and be true to the tenets of their faith.
Maureen, thank you so much. Obviously, we could go on with this for so much longer, but I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. I really do appreciate your putting this in perspective for us, and I look forward to talking with you again very soon.
Great to be with you.
Maureen Ferguson with the Catholic Association. Now stay tuned, there's more currents ahead. Traditional marriage upheld on the state level. We'll tell you where. That story and the rest of the day's headlines next. Welcome back to Currents. I'm Liz Faublas. A federal judge upholds constitutionality of Hawaii's marriage law. The measure defines marriage in the state as a union between a man and a woman. Judge Alan Cook K. wrote that altering the definition of marriage to include same-sex unions might result in undermining the societal understanding of the link between marriage, procreation, and family structure. And to Nigeria now, where a church leader says the Islamic group Boko Haram is not only threatening Christians. The Archbishop of Abuja tells the Vatican news agency Fidesz that an attack this week on a mosque which resulted in 4 deaths shows that Boko Haram is a threat to everyone. 20 people were killed in a similar attack at a Christian church in Nigeria in the same town where the mosque is located. The Archbishop believes that Boko Haram has probably claimed more Muslim than Christian victims. The town where the attacks occurred is home to a large Christian minority, which usually lives peacefully with the Muslim population. And turning now to Rome, where every Sunday Pope Benedict prays the Angelus. But what exactly is this prayer? Rome Reports tells us.
Every Sunday at 12 in the afternoon, the Pope prays the Angelus with pilgrims that gather in St. Peter's Square. When he's away on holidays, he still holds these prayers at his residence of Castel Gandolfo. But how does this prayer differ from others? The Angelus recalls the moment of the Incarnation, when the angel Gabriel told the Virgin Mary that she was to be the mother of Jesus. Since the days of the early Christians, it has been customary to remember this moment in the life of the Virgin Mary. Over the centuries, the tradition developed to pray 3 Hail Marys, and since the 16th century, 3 sentences were added. Pope John XXIII began to recite it on Sundays and holidays in St. Peter's Square, before each blessing. This marked the beginning of the tradition of praying the Angelus that continues to this day. The only time of year when the Angelus is not recited is after Holy Week. During Easter, the Angelus is replaced by the Regina Coeli, a prayer that recalls the resurrection of Jesus and continues until the Feast of Pentecost.
And finally, an Ohio parish has been named a minor basilica. St. John the Baptist Church in Canton has been officially named the United States' 74th minor basilica. The current church, which was built in 1870, was designed by the same architect who designed St. Patrick's Cathedral in Manhattan. Stay tuned. There's more currents after the break. Coming up, a distinct honor for a local seminarian. He joins me to talk about it.
Don't consider myself a born leader. I think one of the places that really helped me to become a leader is Junior Achievement of New York.
Welcome back. On July 19th, the 11th Annual National Black Catholic Congress was held in Indianapolis. 32 Black Catholics from Brooklyn and Queens participated, including retired Auxiliary Bishop Guy Sansaric and Father Caleb Buchanan, the diocesan coordinator of the Vicariate of Black Catholic Concerns. Now, the Congress Hall overflowed with some 20 bishops, most of them African Americans, more than 100 priests and deacons, at least 60 consecrated religious, and more than 1,500 laymen and women, and about 200 teens participated in a special track of conferences and sessions. And in the midst of it all stood Brooklyn seminarian Dwayne Davis. Born in Jamaica, Dwayne moved to New York in 2000. He's set to be ordained to the priesthood next year. Dwayne was not just an attendee of the Black Catholic Congress, he was also an honoree. I spoke with him Wednesday about this important event, his prestigious award, and his plans for the future. Dwayne, thank you so much for joining us. We've been trying to get you here for a couple of weeks, and you're finally here, so thank you. Thank you for being here. Now, I want to read this because I want to get it right. You are the first seminarian and the youngest person to receive the National Black Catholic Servant of Christ Award that we're seeing here. And I just want to get your sense of how you're feeling right now after receiving such a prestigious award.
Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. I do appreciate being here. And it's been a kind of a thrill since I received the award, just because I've been receiving so many people have been acknowledging, whether it be via email, text message, or even phone call, just reaching out and saying congratulations. So the congratulations have continued, and it's been a thrill, it's been an honor. But of course, what I do with the Black Catholic community, I don't do it for honor. But it's a great opportunity for the Diocese of Brooklyn as well, and for the young people of our diocese to see that young people are being recognized for what they do and the good work they do.
And tell us a little bit about what you do, just for audience members that don't know.
Well, I currently, over the last couple of years, I've been working with the Vicariate of Black Catholic Concerns here in the Diocese of Brooklyn. And for about 6 years, I've been running the Kujanga Leadership Retreat, which is one weekend a month, one weekend at the end of the year in July. And most of the young people from Brooklyn and Queens come out to that retreat. We've been doing it in the Seminary of Immaculate Conception in Long Island.
And it's young men and young women?
Young men and women, both from the Diocese of Brooklyn and Queens. And we've been running that retreat for about 22 years, actually, 22 years, because this was our 22nd anniversary.
And what is the purpose of the retreat?
The purpose of the retreat really is to help them with family identity, help them to build a Black Catholic history, understand what that history is, and help them to be leaders within their community. And so we've been trying to do that for them. And it's been a wonderful program, and I'm very happy about the program, and to see how the young people have really changed after they come for that one weekend in the summer. About 3 or 4 years ago, I approached Bishop Sensarik and Father Caleb, who is the coordinator and the vicar for the Vicar of the Black Catholic Concern, and wanted to do something for the program to extend it, make it more of a year-long program. And so we started a program called the Youth Leadership Ambassador Program, which starts in September and ends in June.
And how do you become part of that?
And well, the young people from Brooklyn and Queens from parishes, we send out a letter every year, and the pastors normally nominate 1 or 2 persons from that parish to be a part of the program. And the program really instill and help them with leadership skills, whether it be for the workforce, getting ready for college, and just different opportunities out there. What we do is we have the young people meet some of the vice presidents from organizations out there, and then we also have church-related part. So it's really 2 pillars: one, building leadership, and the second, spirituality. So we have a priest, a bishop, or seminarian come in and give a segment on the faith, but then also they learn about leadership and what it means to be in the workforce.
And September is a big month for you. Tell us a little bit about that. You're going to become a deacon?
Yes, in September, God willing, I'll be a deacon on September 1st. I'm looking forward to it. As you know, diaconate is a ministry of service, and I'm continually want to give back to my community and give back to the church. And so I'm looking forward to diaconate and hopefully and priesthood very soon.
Will you be able to continue your role in the leadership committee, in the leadership community once you become a deacon, or are you going to have to move on to other specific leadership roles?
Well, as I continue towards priesthood, I think my role is diminishing a little bit as far as what I can and cannot do. But I do hope to continue to, no matter what I'm doing, to give back to the Black Catholic community, because that's very important to me, and I think it's important for us to give back to that community as well, because there's a lot of need. But as I move on in my ministry, I'm open to whatever God wants me to do. And so in order to be open to whatever God wants you to do, you also have to be a lot freer.
What is the greatest need, Dwayne, do you think, in the community when you look into the faces of these young people that you're leading and you're guiding? What do they say is what do they want most from you? What do they want more guidance about?
Well, I think one of the greatest need in our community, in the Black community, is that of family. There's the sense of family is really missing, whether it's mom or dad. In most cases, dad is missing out of the equation. And so that family upbringing and teaching the values and teaching some of the basic skills they don't really know. So that I think that's the greatest need in our community. And so it would be very good for priests out there and everyone to kind of help with fostering family ministry and family life and the importance of that. And I find now that it's more important to start teaching that early on.
Right.
So as they grow up, they can begin to think about some of those possibilities. They can think about priesthood. They can think about family life, being a good and holy Catholic husband or wife. And that's very important.
And in the time we have left, I know you're going to become a deacon, God willing, in September. Do you know when you'll be ordained to the priesthood? And who are your mentors in the church now helping you along that journey?
Well, I will become a deacon in September and a priest in June sometime. I'm not quite sure when that is. But I have had mentors right from the beginning. Father Paul Palmiato was my first spiritual director when I began to think about the seminary. Bishop Cisneros accepted me in the seminary, and he has been such a fatherly figure to me, and he's been a part of my journey all the way. Father Caleb Buchanan in the vicariate office have been there with me from day one when I just begin to say, maybe I'm thinking about the priesthood, and he's been there to help me. And also Bishop Sensarik has really been there from day one, and he's continued to be there. So I'm blessed to have so many mentors within the priesthood, and very good and holy men to look up to. So God willing, one day I too might be a good and holy priest.
God willing, and I know, I can see why they are proud, and I'm sure the people in your home parish of Jamaica, St. Joseph, are proud, and we're very proud of you. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Stay tuned. There's more currents after the break. When we return, back in time for a first-hand look at World War II. Recently, Currents and the Tablet brought you the story of a World War II soldier, Jackie LaBarbera from Corona, Queens. Now, while writing a book based on the letters of another soldier, author James Bragg came across letters LaBarbera sent home while serving overseas. He wrote about the letters in the July 28th issue of the Tablet. Now, at the time, Bragg did not know what happened to Jackie LaBarbera after he returned home, other than the fact that he died in 1996 when he was 73. Well, after the story was first published, the Tablet received a response from LaBarbera's son. Rich LaBarbera wrote that his father was a New York police officer for 22 years and worked in security department of Chemical Bank for another 20 years. Jackie LaBarbera had 3 boys and 8 grandchildren and is survived by his wife, Gail. Rich LaBarbera writes of his father, quote, "He was a man of faith until the day he died, and never did I hear him say a bad word about anyone." You can read more in the Reader's Forum section of the August 4th issue of the Tablet. Well, I had a chance to talk recently with the man who first wrote about Jackie LaBarbera, author James Bragg, on his book, Searching for Sergeant Bailey. What prompted you to write this wonderful book, and how did you go about your research?
Well, it was really a whim, as I say in the book. I was on vacation with my wife in Virginia, and we just stopped in an antique store to stretch our legs. And I found these letters, less than 30 of them, from this Virginia man in New Guinea writing home to his mother, who was the postmistress in Virginia. I thought they might make it an article. I had worked for 40 years in the Catholic press. I was at the Evangelist newspaper in Albany and had retired, and I was looking for something to write about. And I love history. So I bought the letters thinking they might make an article, and they turned into a book because I became, I say fascinated, my wife says obsessed with this man's story in reading these letters and then wanting to learn about his hometown, his family, you know, what happened to him when he came back, if he came back. And it was a lot of fun in one sense. Mm-hmm. It was sad in certain other occasions. It was fulfilling to be able to do this in retirement and have the time to interview people who knew him and delve into the history of his little town, very small town in Virginia. So it was really meeting a friend that I never knew I would ever have.
And Jim, having worked for Catholic publications and being a man of faith, do you get a sense that religion and faith played a big role in the lives of our servicemen and women during World War II based on your research?
Well, you know, the expression, there are no atheists in foxholes. And Jackie says that in a letter home. He does a variation of it and says men are becoming Christian every day. The closer we get to the front lines, people are becoming more and more faith-filled because you're in a crucial situation where you have to answer some fundamental questions about, am I going to live? Am I going to die? If I die, where do I go? How have I lived my life? How would I like to live my life if I'm preserved? So in their letters, they often, they talk about home, of course. They talk about family. But here and there, they will let go of their beliefs, which is hard for many people to talk about. But in the situation they were in, and since they were writing to family, they would talk about, you know, their prayer life. They're going to services, especially around Christmas time when there's such a feeling of faith and family. They would create little Christmases wherever they were, sometimes literally in foxholes, but certainly in barracks. In New Guinea, men talked about sitting in a tent and they would get a package and pass it around almost like communion. I mean, everybody would want to touch the package even before it was opened. And then when it was opened, they would pass around, what did I get? I got a watch, you know, I got a wallet,
wow.
I got a handkerchief. And there'd be this sense of sharing And it was almost a religious service among these men, you know, literally half a world away.
Well, I have to tell you, Jim, be it fascination or obsession, however you want to call it, we do appreciate that you wrote this book. Jim's book, Searching for Sergeant Bailey, is available at Amazon.com. And that is all for tonight. Be sure to visit us online at currentsny.net. For all of us here at Currents, I'm Liz Faubles. Now, earlier we told you about this year's National Black Catholic Congress. Here now are some of the young Black Catholics of the Brooklyn Diocese at work during a visit they made last year to the Queen of Peace Nursing Home in Queens Village. Thank you for watching and have a good night.